Alright, where do I start this? Well, first off, hello everyone. It's me, Nexus, and I am back with another video, and as promised, I am doing the first episode out of my 9-episode series for Thanksgiving break. Um, and what movie did I decide to choose to review today? And, I think the choice was pretty simple and pretty obvious for those who watched the episode yesterday. Um, I decided to go with the original 1954 Gojira. Oh, or Gojira, or just Godzilla 1954. And the reason why is because, it started off a series, and it's, oh man. Well, let me start this over. Okay, what the hell? Okay, so, what needs to be said that hasn't already been said about this movie in the Godzilla fandom alone? It started off an entire franchise. It's a great allegory for nuclear war. This was literally like what? Like 9 years after the atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's a nice allegory, and it's a great way of showing the horrors of nuclear testing in the Pacific. And the beginning is even like kind of mirroring a real life event that happened, which I think was called the Lucky Dragon event, or not event, the Lucky Dragon incident, where like a fishing boat called the Lucky Dragon got stuck in a nuclear bombing test, and everyone started to die on the ship after being exposed to the fallout from the radiation. And so I might as well give a plot summary. So yes, the movie starts out with a ship disappearing after the sea like glows white with fire, and then afterwards another vessel goes missing, and then afterwards we get introduced to Emiko. I forget the other guy's name, and Dr. Serizawa, and those are our main characters for the movie. And it's really more about Serizawa, Emiko, and oh my god, what was the other guy's name? I can't remember. I will put his name up on this area, like right here. Don't worry. But yeah, it's about their story, and like how Emiko is having an affair with the other guy, even though she's about to get married to Dr. Serizawa, and her father, whose name I also can't remember, even though I just watched the movie today. Yeah, I didn't really take notes, so yeah, but I did make a script for this, and you'd think, oh hey, I'm getting off topic. Okay, well, anyways, the movie's their story, and also that Godzilla has appeared after being awakened by nuclear testing. Now, I'm gonna be honest, when I was younger, I fucking hated this movie. I was like, oh, he doesn't fight another monster, his roar is weird, and like later on in life, I'm like, you know what? This movie is actually pretty fucking good. Yeah, so that's kind of my story with this movie, because this is not the first Godzilla movie I saw. First Godzilla movie I saw, I might get into later. Later next week, I don't know. Maybe. But what else is there to say? Yeah, so going back onto the plot. What the hell? Going back onto the plot. Anyways, they go onto Odo Island. They talk about this god named Godzilla and how like the people there used to sacrifice the girls there to Godzilla to appease him. And then Godzilla actually shows up and he destroys a helicopter. They use like war footage, if I believe so, for Godzilla's appearance scene. And then what else? Oh my god, I can't remember a movie for shit. Okay, so Godzilla's entrance scene is like easily one of the greatest scenes in this movie, because even though it's like a hand puppet, it's still really cool. So then like this huge meeting shows up or this huge meeting happens, and like I can't remember, I think it's in Osaka, but basically the people of Odo Island and the people and the scientists on that island. Or first off, they find a trilobite. Okay. I keep on messing up, and I don't know why, but basically, Godzilla's entrance scene starts off with them finding, like, after Godzilla shows up and, like, destroys Oda Island Village, they then send 2 radioactive scientists there, and, they're like, oh, you know, this ground is dangerous. Oh, and also, I should probably clarify, I'm doing the original Japanese version and not the Raymond Burr version. That could be an entirely separate episode by itself, but I'm deciding to not do that. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the footage that I just saw, which is probably going to be delayed because I'm moving the clip back. But anyways, yeah. So then afterwards, the father of Emiko, he grabs a trilobite, and they're like, oh, you know, you shouldn't grab this, and with your bare hands, it's highly radioactive, and so they put it in a wooden box. Do I even have to explain that? But that's besides the point. It's still a great movie. Yes, but then you know, the bell starts ringing, and so the people in the village start running up with like katanas and like guns and shit. And then Godzilla shows up, and he roars and then walks away, and so then that huge meeting happens. Then afterwards we get introduced to the oxygen destroyer a bit later, and then afterwards Godzilla attacks. Oh, and there is this really cool moment that I wanted to mention that stuck with me. It's this guy and, if I believe so, his girlfriend or his wife, and they're on a train, and they're talking about the existence of Godzilla, and they're like, oh, you know, we may need to go back to bomb shelters, or those shelters, and the guy, he says, oh, not those shelters again, because they lived in fear of being nuked after the first nuke, which is a really, really cool detail, I guess. It was a cool detail to me, which I didn't notice in the first 100 times I've seen this movie. And you know, you see them again on the ship when Godzilla shows up in the sea, and like it's that cruise ship, and they're all dancing. But I think that's the last time you see them. And then we move on to Godzilla's final attack scene, where obviously he attacks Tokyo, and like you can hear like the amazing score from Akira Ifukube. By the way, I should probably mention this. The music in this movie is fucking amazing. Like, it's so iconic, especially the Godzilla theme itself. Oh my god. Like, I'll get into oh my god, I don't want to spoil this, okay, because like I've got a huge list set up for what movies I want to say, but yeah. Reiterations of that theme have been amazing, and I absolutely love it to death. The original Godzilla theme just like stands out in like some of the best movie themes ever, next to Pacific Rim, and I mean, or character themes, like not really character themes, but like Godzilla's theme. You know, you've got the Pacific Rim theme, Ultraman's theme, at least his battle theme in the first show, if you've seen the original Ultraman, and then like Ultraman Nexus's themes. Oh my god, I absolutely love character themes, and that is like one of the best character themes ever. But yes, then Godzilla attacks Tokyo, and there's a lot of imagery and stuff like that. Like this woman's holding her 2 kids as Godzilla's like about to crumble the building, or like crumble a building next to him because they're hiding in an alleyway, and they're like, "Don't worry, we'll be with your father soon," which I guess implies that their dad was dead. And considering this was after World War II, I mean, he either died in the nukings or he died in war. And it's a good way of looking at it, I guess. What else is there to say? Then Serizawa and the dude whose name I still can't remember. Oh my god. Then they get into a fight after Emiko tells her the guy she's having an affair with, basically, that Serizawa has created the oxygen destroyer, which Serizawa obviously showed her earlier, and we actually get to oh my god. Okay, so then So before this, Sarazawa shows Emiko the oxygen destroyer, but we don't see what it does. And then in a flashback, after she tells, oh my god, she tells the dude she's having an affair with about what the oxygen destroyer is. Only then do we get to see like the effects of it, and it's basically a nuclear bomb that it vaporizes the skin, and then it just leaves a skeleton. Which, I mean, even though they didn't do that, even though the nuclear bombs in Hiroshima just vaporized the people altogether, it's basically a nuclear bomb. And that's why Sarazawa's kept it a secret, and it's actually really, like, tough, because, like, if you were a person that, like, made a weapon that was this destructive, and you let it out to the public, you wouldn't want it getting into the wrong hands, and you wouldn't want to be responsible for making this, or discovering it, because you'd feel like anyone who died from it, it's kind of the blood's on your hands. So Sarazawa burns his notes after getting into a fight with the dude that Emiko's having an affair with, basically. And then they're like, okay, you know what, we gotta go kill Godzilla. So a military, I think a battleship sets out to locate Godzilla, and they do. And so the dude that Emiko's having an affair with and Sarazawa, they both go down diving. Sarazawa cuts his line so that way he can set off the oxygen destroyer and kill himself with it, because the knowledge of the oxygen destroyer is still in his head, and he could be tortured to get the information out of it. So he decides to kill himself. And he dies along with Godzilla after like one of the coolest roars and like one of the coolest death scenes, because like you see Godzilla's skeleton and then it just disappears. Then it cuts to, and then Sarazawa says, "You and Emiko be happy," to the dude that Emiko's having an affair with. And afterwards, like, that's it. The movie ends just like that. Now, what would I give this movie? Even though it's not perfect, the effects still hold up, and it's crazy. I would give this movie easily like a 9.5 out of 10. Because, like, you actually care about the characters in a Godzilla movie, and it's very rare to care about the characters in a Godzilla movie. Not only that, but, I mean, it started off a whole franchise, and you have to respect it for that. Now, even though some of the later entries in the Showa series were pretty shit, I still do think that like this movie like by itself, like if they did not make a sequel to Godzilla, I'd be just fine with that. But then they hint at, and before the ending of the movie, Emiko's dad hints at the fact that there could be more Godzillas showing up if there were more nuclear tests, and that kind of teases Godzilla raids again. And it's like, holy shit, they were setting up for this unintentionally, but they did it. And so obviously it sparked into a whole franchise that's been going on for 65 years now. And it's crazy. Other than that, there's not much else that can be said about this movie that hasn't already been said. I love it to death, and I love Godzilla to death. Thanks for watching.